Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we will be discussing the Villarreal draw as well as we'll be discussing the PSG game that is happening on Tuesday evening. So without further ado, let's get right into today's podcast. Okay, so for the first part of today's podcast, we will be talking about the Villarreal draw. Now, it was 0-0 in the end. It was a dull game, pretty much. There was some good chances. I would say not amazing chances, but good chances in that game. But ultimately, it was an even game, and I think the draw was a fair result for both teams because Villarreal dominated in the first half. We dominated in the second. So we'll start coming into the game, and coming into the game there was one big thing in the starting lineup, and that was the return of Gareth Bale as the striker. And we've seen Carlo experiment with the false nine before now already a couple of times now, with Eden Hazard doing it sometimes, Asensio doing it sometimes. Now it was time for Gareth Bale to have a go at it, and I think we'll talk about his performance a little bit later, but a lot of Real Madrid fans had been calling out for the return of Gareth Bale, but I don't think many were calling it to be up front, especially because of Asensio's performances, actual performances rather than the goals he scored, but actual performances not being influential. Same with Rodrigo. So I think I wanted him to be more of a right winger than a striker, because ultimately I wanted him to get involved in the game. But you can't come to expect that from Gareth Bale anymore. We've seen that last season when he was at Tottenham. We've seen it at the start of this season. He's not going to be an effective winger in terms of the performance. He's not going to go drive out people. He's not going to cause danger for the defences. He's just going to score goals for you, and that's largely what we get out of Asensio. So what do you think of the return of Gareth Bale?
I think it was important because, of course, like I said, we don't have a player like him in the squad in the latest games. So, however, there are moments of the game where Gareth Bale, with his talent and some of his qualities, can be useful. I think he had a few moments where he came on his left foot and a good shot which was saved, and he did make some few runs in behind. There was a time early in the first half when the ball was played over the defense, and he took it down well, and he could have took it down a bit better, but he took it down well and had a shot which was saved. So there were moments where he had an impact on the game, and I think definitely if he can maybe have a bit of consistency with his game time, he can definitely play a bit better, be a bit more sharper. So I think he played well, but I think now for Bale, if he wants to make to make a good impact of Madrid, I know that he played well coming onto his left foot and having a shot. But maybe I think that if he plays on the left, it can be a bit easier for him, to drive into the box and put a low ball into the box for someone like Benzema. I think it will work if there's a player like Benzema or Jokic in the box, so definitely as much as he can play well on the other side, I think Asensio would offer a bit more in terms of what Bale does on that side. So I think if he wants to make an impact, he can just be the main backup along with Hazard for Vinicius on that left-hand side.
Yep, I agree. I think that he's not got the pace anymore to make that run on the right. I think we're going to be talking about Asensio in a second, about Asensio's performance. But I think Bale is a good situation now. We've got him back now. I think he's going to be important in the running towards the end of the season, when we've got that really difficult run-in with the likes of Real Sociedad, Athletic Bilbao, all in that stretch, all in that that run of games. So I think he's going to be really important in that. But yeah, I think left side, I think he would be pretty effectual to using it. Left back, we saw another start for Marcelo. He played brilliantly in that game against Granada, I think. But I think today he had an awful performance, and it was a return for the old Marcelo. And I think I didn't want to see Marcelo come up against Danjuma in this game, because it was going to be a one-sided affair, or Samuel Chukwueze, because they've just got the pace, and I think we often saw Marcelo going into the attacking midfield roles. That split between the wing and the midfield. We saw him dropping into those positions, and we saw Cruz coming back and covering for Marcelo. But that's just not what we need from Toni Cruz. To cover for a guy who's not very is quite ineffectual in attack and poor in defence. So I think Marcelo starting shouldn't have happened today, especially in the game today. We saw in the first half they just continuously went at us through that side, caused so many problems, and I think that is what we've got to come to expect from Marcelo nowadays. So, what did you think of the start for Marcelo, and would you have rather started Alaba or Nacho at left back?
You know what? Actually, I decided that because Marcel had a good game against in the latest game that we had against Granada, I decided that, you know what, Marcelo, maybe this is an opportunity to start. However, I believe that maybe at halftime, Carlo Ancelotti should have made a change and switch it up a bit. Because I believe that Marcelo, despite having a good game, he is not consistent anymore, and that's because he's older and talented young wingers, fast wingers especially, know how to exploit that. And I definitely believe that when Marcelo plays, it definitely would affect Alaba a bit, because he'd have to be dragged out of positions to cover. And in the first 5 minutes, I think when Chukwueze defeated Marcelo, then he came, and then after he beat Alaba in the box. Did they remember that moment?
Yeah, when they got into our box, and it wasn't a very good passage of
Yeah.
play from our defence.
Yeah, and it's difficult to blame Alaba in that sequence of play, because he obviously should have done better in terms of his positioning. But I believe that it was a bit unexpected for a defender to deal with that situation. Especially it's difficult to make a tackle when you're in the box. Especially how Marcelo got beat a bit at the edge of the box, or the edge of it, right on the inside of it. It's difficult for the defender to make a tackle. So it's difficult to blame Alaba. So my big point is when Marcelo plays, especially against these teams that who can attack you, players like Alaba or Nacho, whoever's on that side, they will be affected a bit, and they'll have a bit more work to do than how their regular outings would be. So it's something that we expect, when Marcelo plays. Of course, some of us thought that because he played well against Granada, that maybe he would have another good game today. And I did thought that he would have a better game. I didn't expect it to be that bad, but it's not shocking. It's something that we come to expect.
Yeah, and in terms of the Alaba playing in that left centre back role when Marcelo is there, it's just not. It doesn't work because of the fact that Alaba's not a natural stopper. He doesn't go out to stop the wingers, which is what you need, which is what we've had with Sergio Ramos in the past, where when Marcelo's going down that left, and the winger comes bombing down that right, then Sergio Ramos goes to the winger and just stops the ball, stops the winger from advancing any further. Alaba's not that natural type of player. He's more of a sweeper, the guy who to organise the defence, but to drop a little bit deeper, get a bit ready. And I think when Marcelo plays, I think it's got to be Nacho who plays on that left side, because he's more natural at using that role than David Alaba, and I think that's why we can't play Marcelo, because of the fact that if we are playing a dangerous winger like we played in Samuel Chukwueze, he can just get in behind, and it's really easy for them to do so. And I think Villarreal did that really well in the first half, and created 2 chances within the first 5 minutes. I looked at the clock, and as soon as they hit the post, it was only 5 minutes, and I recall another attack they had, which was very similar. And I think this is all down to the fact that left side just does not tailor to each other. It doesn't. Marcelo being that wing back, that attacking wing back, doesn't suit to Alaba's more sweeping like tendencies. That's why Mendy is a very, very good player on that side. I think if it was on the other side, I think we would do a lot better if Marcelo was a right back and right footed, let's say. I think Eder Militao would deal with it a lot better than David Alaba would. So let's get into the actual game. And what I saw was it was really side to side during that whole game, or almost, because I don't think there was enough verticalness about the team. That's not a word, but there was not enough of us going forward and going at the team. There's no directness from our players. The two players that were direct, Vinny and Fede, they weren't effective enough during this game because of the fact that Villarreal just elbowed them and then battered them. Well, I'll talk about the ref in a little bit, but Vinicius was not effective during that space. He was causing Villarreal some problems and he was causing them some headaches, but largely they dealt with him very well. And I think this is where the fact that we don't have two good wings, I think that really hurts us, because what we saw from Villarreal was they just doubled down on that side. We saw that Juan Foyth was obviously dealing with him very well. Raul Albiol just went over to that side, and sometimes Vicente Iborra also went that side, and I think that really, Vinicius struggled as a result of that. If Marco Asensio was a bit more effective on that right side, I think that we could have caused Villarreal a lot more problems. But the fact that they only had to worry about Vinicius was the main reason why this remained 0-0, because there wasn't a symmetrical danger for Villarreal. They could just focus on one side. So how important do you think it is to have that double-sided danger for us?
Yeah, it's important because, like you said, it's easier to mark Vinicius out of the game, especially if Benzema doesn't play as well. And of course, there are moments where Asensio play well and he is so impactful. Like in the latest game we had against Granada, he was our best player, of course. And we always say, we'd like to see a bit more consistency from him or from Trigo on that side. But I don't think that Vinicius was bad on today. I think he was good. I think he tried his best. I think Carlo Ancelotti gave him as much minutes as possible, to have an impact, because of course he is our best winger at the moment, and for the past year he's been our best winger. So Carlo Ancelotti gave him 81 minutes because I think we weren't getting as much as we expect from our wingers. However, there was some moments of with Bale. There's also some moments for Vinicius where both of them had a chance. I definitely believe Vinicius should have done better with that chance he had after good work from Fede Valverde. I think I'm not too sure maybe if he could have just placed it a bit lower to make it difficult for the keeper. Place it a bit lower across the goal, where the keeper send it back to the keeper's side. If you know what I'm talking about. So I definitely believe that he had that chance, and Bale definitely had chances as well. So I definitely believe our wings wasn't that bad on yesterday. However, I believe that at the start of the game was the main issue, was that we didn't have much control of the game, or much the midfield didn't have much drive, to push forward and assist. The team was a bit deep in the first half, and Ancelotti said that. So I definitely believe that affected us a bit. So I don't believe that, it's the winner's fault. I believe that because of Vinicius' individual quality and his speed and his overall game, he's playing much better. However, I definitely believe that the setup of the team is definitely hindering other wingers cannot be as individually good as Vinicius or Asensio on this day. That's why sometimes you would see Asensio playing well and not Trigo playing well according to the team. So I definitely believe that needs to be sorted out a bit.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately Rodrigo, if Rodrigo was playing this game, I don't think he would have affected it much more than Asensio in the end. I don't think I think they've both got the same traits of having an inconsistency. I think this is what's really disappointing about Rodrigo, because he has the same inconsistency about Asensio, and I don't think there's any other redeeming factors for Rodrigo that make him more beneficial for Real Madrid than Asensio. So, speaking of Asensio, why not? Let's talk about him, because during this game he was alright. I would say he wasn't as bad as some people are trying to make out, but I do think that it is ineffectual again, and I think ultimately this output we're getting out of Asensio, it's good for a rotation player, but when we need him to be a starter, and he is a starter right now, I would say he is the main right winger in this system. I would say he has the advantage over Rodrigo right now. I think that he needs to provide a little bit more. He needs to get involved in the play a little bit, and even if that means drop a little bit deeper, drive from deep, then so be it. I think he needs to be a little bit more effective during the games, and I think he can't just coast through the games, like he sometimes does. Not saying that he did it today, but I think that he needs to get involved in the play a little bit more. So, what do you think of Asensio and his performance yesterday?
Yeah, he needs to, of course, get a bit more involved and play. But like I said, it's difficult. We're struggling a bit in the first half to have that impact when you don't have like the individual quality of the speed, of the athleticism of Vinicius, of course, who can definitely take the ball and attack defenders, and can have a bit of space for himself with using his speed. So Asensio can't do that, as effective as Vinicius, on the counter attack. I believe you can utilize those qualities. In terms of trapping, picking up the ball, coming on the inside, taking something. It's not his game, of course, he can do it and be a bit impactful. I believe that the setup sometimes, like I said, affect the way our players play, because if you look at it, our last few coaches, not just focus on Zidane and now Ancelotti. There's sometimes when we don't have that specific way to break down teams. We do depend on a lot of individual quality on that, which is a bit concerning at times. Because sometimes we do need those little passes the box sometimes, to break down teams. I definitely think that it's a few tactical tweaks that we can get better outputs from Asensio and perhaps Rodrigo as well.
Yeah, I think that they need to be more effective in these games, especially in these games where Villarreal, we know that coming into this game, Villarreal are going to defend deep. They're gonna try and hit us on the counter. They've got effective players, and I think the most disappointing thing about it is that we couldn't take the chance because of the fact that Gerard Moreno was not in this game, and that removes a lot of the sting from Villarreal's attack. When they don't have that cutting edge anymore without Gerard Moreno. So I think that is disappointing that we couldn't seize that. But I would like to talk about some positives now. It's not all doom and gloom. It is still only 1 point, but I think it is not all doom and gloom in this game. Casemiro, he was fantastic. He had a fantastic game, and so did Eder Militao. We'll start with Casemiro, and he covered everything amazingly. I think he got across everywhere. He was everywhere and anywhere. Like, he was defending so well. Danny Parejo didn't have much space whatsoever, and he can dictate a game, Danny Parejo. Casemiro prevented anything from Danny Parejo. I think that he stopped Danjuma from really getting into the swing of things beyond that 5th minute. I think that Chukwueze had a bit of a quiet game I think because of Casemiro. I think a lot of these players didn't do as well because of Casemiro and Militao. So what did you think on Casemiro's performance?
Of course, this is an important game for him, especially because we play PSG next, and we know how good Casemiro can play against big teams. So I think this is an important performance for him. When it comes to the fact that we do play PSG next, it will be important. Of course, I'm not which was a bit in terms of both are a bit aggressive and in terms of their defensive style. So I definitely think that Casemiro can have a bigger role this season. Of course, he hasn't been at his best this season, but this is a game where I definitely believe that his qualities was shown today.
Yeah, and I think Militao did brilliant as well in stopping that Villarreal attack. Obviously, they didn't have their star man, Gerard Moreno, and that does affect things a lot for Villarreal, especially because they're a considerably worse side without him. But nonetheless, I think they both did fantastically in stopping Villarreal from attacking. We'll talk about we'll finish off with the Jovic chance in the last few minutes. Well, it's difficult because ultimately he should be putting that away, but it was. I'm trying to be nice to Jovic because I think in that instance you wouldn't expect a lot of players to put it away. A lot of players would have tried to take it around him or tried to just hit it in from there. And the fact is, he got it up and over the keeper. He just didn't dip enough. Would you criticise Jovic for that finish? Do you think it is his fault that it didn't go in the net?
You know what? It was technical stuff. I'm not going to be too hard on him because it was his first chance of the game, and of course, when you're looking for opportunities to get more minutes, of course you have to take those chances, because those are the moments where you can get more game time, get more confidence. But I do believe that for a player who hasn't been playing much, and for people to say a bit low on confidence, fitness, etc., it was a bit audacious and nice to see the confidence of him trying an attempt like that. The technique was good. It was the right idea, it just hit the bar. He was a bit unlucky with that, so it was a good technique. It's not like he completely flubbed the chance by blasting it straight at the goalkeeper, blasting it over the bar, kicking it wide, or stumbling on himself. It was a good chance. He took his time. He analyzed the situation, and of course the ball just a few millimeters away from the target. It's difficult to blame a player like that for that miss. I mean, it's his first chance of the game. What do you expect? From a player who isn't playing much. But however, it was a good chance and a good opportunity to score. And he had good technique. So it didn't seem like he was low on confidence. It's just one miss from one chance. So I don't think that people should be a bit too hard on him. Because maybe if he had two chances, he would have taken the second one. So it's just a few millimeters. You can't criticize a player for that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, before we finish, I just want to have a quick word on the referee, Jose Maria Sanchez Martinez. How Raul Albiol was not, did not get a yellow card for that elbow on Vinicius twice. He elbowed Vinicius twice. It's beyond me. Vinicius was used as a punching bag during this game. How they were not booked more? I've got the lineup here, right? I've got the lineups here. Villarreal only got 2 yellow cards, while we got 4. How is that possible? After the amount of battering that our players got during that game, it's beyond me. So I do think the standard of Spanish refereeing is dropping a lot. I think the referees itself. I think they're getting a lot worse. There's obviously the upper echelon, but then the drop off is huge. And I think with Sanchez Martinez, he's not I'd say one of those the elite referees that so per se. We could say that Mateo Lahoz is an elite referee, but last week he had a disaster class as well. And I think this is another bad game for a referee for Real Madrid, and I think it's becoming too much of a consistency. So, what do you think on the referee's performance?
Yeah, they need to be a bit more consistent. That's all I need to say, because sometimes players get booked for it, sometimes they don't. I've heard many people say it. Just think that some of them would make the call, some wouldn't. be some sort of law, for certain things to be clear fouls. Not just for this instance, but many instances, where certain athletes give a card, give a penalty for incidents and stones. So there need to be something, specific about it, because of course we don't know what to expect, and that's a bit unfortunate for the players, especially when you don't know what to expect. You don't know when something goes against you, how to react about it, so it need to be clear for the players, coaches, and the fans, however, in terms of elbowing someone, that's unacceptable and should be a card, in my opinion. You don't intentionally stick out the elbow, especially when someone's coming at that speed. So that should have been a card. And I think that's, like I said, some would get the foul and some wouldn't. And I think that there needs to be something done about it.
Yeah, and I think what tips it for me is that intentional look from Albiol towards Vinicius. I think that should indicate that it is yellow, but maybe the referee didn't see that. But in the end, what can we do? The game's done now. I don't think it was a good performance from Sanchez Martinez. But what can you do about it? So that is it for this part of the podcast. Next part, we'll be talking about PSG and the game we have on Tuesday. So join us after this short break. Well, the Champions League is back, and we face a really difficult challenge in this game against PSG. Many thought they were going to be the favourites before the season, especially with their signings. Obviously, that's changed a little bit considering the fact that how the team is playing, but they are still nonetheless a fantastic team. Maybe less team, but individuals, fantastic individuals, and I think they can cause problems for any side. Let alone us. We're not. I would say we're on the level of PSG right now, the just below the top of European football right now, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to just put away PSG and show our credentials. So I mean, it is a difficult game. It's going to be a difficult game to on Tuesday. I think with us being the first teams to go in the round of 16, I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think it's going to be very, very end to end. It's going to be more PSG rather than us. I think PSG will go at us. We'll just go on the counter attack, but I think that PSG have the cutting edge to try and get in behind us and really cause us some problems. So what do you think about the game, and what do you think about when the draw was pulled? Not the first one, the second one, when the second draw was pulled out of the bag.
Obviously, more Madrid fans, especially myself, at the start of the draw, we were flying a bit high, and we wasn't scared at the time of PSG. However, getting closer to the game, well, let me just explain at the start. At the start, of course, it was going to be a tough game. Anything can happen when you're playing against big teams, especially PSG, especially the way we play. Anything can happen. So of course, bigger matches, the superstars tend to work a bit harder because it's more at stake. So I think it's a bit lazy to assume that because PSG will have Neymar and then Messi, Mbappe, even Di Maria, and that they would be a bit lazy in defense, and we can cap them out. And to believe that they're not going to be as defensively sound, but I don't believe that those players are just not going to work hard defensively. It's a Champions League game, it's against Madrid. So sometimes these players put in the extra effort in those big matches. So I definitely believe that PSG would be a bit better than many people make them out to be. This isn't going to be an easy game. However, I definitely believe that we should start at our best 11. If Benzema can play, I would like to see him start because our starter matches haven't been that good. If you look at the last 2 games, however, our substitutes has been good. So if we can start with our best team, put our best foot forward when the substitutes are made, the game will open up a bit and we would have more opportunities to score, and we can maintain momentum if we have a good first half, especially if they're saying Benzema is aiming to play 60 minutes. I would like to see him play just 45 minutes like he did with Atletico Madrid when we won 1-0. He just came back. They took a chance on him when he scored. However, if he cannot play, I don't want to see him playing any football if he can't play. I do believe that there are bigger matches this season other than this one, especially the second leg. So I do hope that the medical team at launch that they make the decision after all.
Yeah, I'm going to get into my verdict on Benzema when we do our lineups for this game. But before we do so, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the predicted lineup for PSG. So, first of all, Neymar is a doubt for this game. It's highly unlikely that he will play this game. They could risk him, but I doubt it. Ramos is unavailable for this game. Paredes is a doubt. Wijnaldum is a doubt. However, saying this, it is likely that PSG will risk those two to play this game because of the fact that they are a little bit short in midfield. And Idrissa Gana Gueye is off due to being post AFCON. So, goalkeeper, it's likely to be Keylor Navas in goal. Obviously, ex-Real Madrid. Right back is likely to be Thilo Kehrer. Hakimi I don't know, I think it's going to be a lot more defensive from that right side. They're going to try to defend. They will probably bring on Hakimi a little bit later on if they need a little bit more oomph in the attack. But I think they're going to try and defend off Vinny with Thilo Kehrer. Centre backs, like I said, Ramos is unavailable, so it will most likely be Marquinhos and Kimpembe. Left back will be Nuno Mendes at left back, and I think Juan Bernat is not going to play this game. Left centre mid, Junior Wijnaldum will be playing this game despite being a doubt. Right centre mid will be Marco Verratti, and in the hole will be Leandro Paredes, also risking him. Left wing will be Kylian Mbappe, soon to be Real Madrid player, hopefully. Striker will be Mauro Icardi, and to finish the lineup off will be Lionel Messi, old foe of Real Madrid. So it's a very star-studded lineup. Let's not get it twisted. This team has capability to score goals anywhere. Literally every player in that team, I could see scoring a goal, and I think that's going to be dangerous. But I think one thing that can be said is that I think that build-up will be easy in this game. I think if we have that extra bit of fluidity than PSG in terms of the build-up and quick passing, I think we could just get through PSG quite easily. I don't think their midfield is more workhorse than technical. I think Marco Verratti is a very technical midfielder. He's probably the only one now out of those three I think I could trust. Getting through a few players. But I think build up is going to be relatively easy because of that front three. I don't think, like you said, you did say they will work harder, but I don't think these three. They're not going to press hard. They're not going to press to the extent that forces Militao, Alaba, two players who are very comfortable on the ball, to lose the ball. I don't think that's possible. I don't think Messi is going to press at all. I don't think Icardi's going to press at all. Mbappe, maybe he might press a little bit more than the other two, but I doubt it. And then the midfield. Their midfield is going to be easy to press, especially if Ander Herrera is going to play, because I think they're not as technical as need to be. And I think, if we play the guy who I'm going to say in a minute, I think it's going to be a very, very good midfield battle for us. I think we can easily win this battle in the midfield. I think to counter it, Pochettino might use Herrera, and in the second leg he might bring in Idrissa Gueye to counter that midfield. But I think this leg, I think they're going to try and control the ball. But I think Kroos, Modric, Casemiro are going to be really key into stopping that. So without further ado, let's get into our lineups. Goalkeeper, Courtois, like always, I assume.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Right back, Lucas Vazquez is not available, and I think with the left back situation, I don't think it's a doubt that it's going to be Carvajal for this game.
Why is that? How isn't Carvajal?
No, Carvajal is allowed. I'm just saying it's no doubt that Carvajal will start this game.
Oh, I thought you did say Carvajal wasn't available. Yeah, Carvajal should definitely start this game as well. I think he's the best fullback, and when he plays, you can definitely see the defense is a bit sharper and our attack is a bit better on that side.
Yeah. Okay, centre backs, Militao and Alaba for me. I think that's probably going to be the same for you, or have you gone for Alaba at left back?
I would go for. I'm not too sure the status of Mendy, of course. However, I believe that if Mendy isn't playing, I would like to see Nacho or Alaba at left back. So it's between Militao and Nacho, or Militao and Alaba, with one of them playing left back. However, if Mendy is available and he can play and there isn't any risk to it, I would go for Mendy. However, I will stick with Militao, Alaba and Mendy as my two centre backs and left back, because most of the reports have been positive, stating that he can play the PSG game. So I stick with Militao, Alaba and Mendy. I think Ancelotti will do the same as well.
I'm going to push you to make a decision on what happens if Mendy doesn't play. So would you go for Alaba or Nacho at left back if Mendy doesn't play this game?
I would more go for Nacho, because I think the biggest factor for me is that Kylian Mbappe will be on the left side. However, I would be a bit scared if I'm being honest, if it's Mbappe versus Nacho, or if Mbappe is on the other flank. So because Mbappe is on that left side, I will stick with Alaba centre back and play Nacho at left back. I don't want to see what will happen with Marcelo if he plays this game, especially if they have Hakimi and Messi and Di Maria, whoever's on that flank. I don't want to see what happens to Marcelo in that game, so I'll just go for Nacho.
Yeah, it's kamikaze if we play Marcelo in this game, especially against Messi and potentially Hakimi as well. So I've also gone for Nacho if Mendy doesn't play. Obviously, Mendy is always going to be first choice, but Nacho's second after that. I think to defend Messi, I think Nacho's probably better than Alaba in this game. So defensive midfield, I think there's no problems here. So I'm going to assume throughout the midfield we've both gone for Casemiro, Kroos, Modric.
Yeah, for sure, because I do think that Valverde can make a second half impact, or maybe he can play a bit higher up. Seeing that our wingers, especially on the right hand side, isn't that consistent. There can be opportunity for Valverde there. However, I will stick with Kroos, Modric, Casemiro. I think Modric was rested. Well, he was. Not I think, I know he was rested, and that means he's going to be a bit more sharp, a bit more fitter. Because I think the Modric will requires you to be a bit play with more intensity, in my opinion. So resting him for the last game was a bit better. Was a good decision, in my opinion. So Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro. So that's good.
Yeah, I've agreed with you. Left wing, Vinny. I'm gonna absolutely assume that we've both gone for Vinny here.
Yeah, of course. played well, and I think he hasn't been at his best over the new year. But he hasn't been bad. He's been showing us a few moments of quality. So he definitely, I think he will score in this game if I'm being honest. So I would make that prediction. I think Vinicius will get a goal in this game.
Yeah, and one thing it must be said is that this is Vinny's big chance to prove himself in the Champions League. You know, I think this is the big test that he's going to have this year. Last year it was Liverpool, and previously it was Ajax, where he really made an impression in a Real Madrid shirt. So I think this is the chance for him to prove himself against the likes of Messi and Mbappe and Neymar. So yeah, right wing. Now, I've deliberately gone past striker for us to talk about that in a second. But right wing, who have you gone for?
Okay, well, this is a bit of a technical one because, of course, we have so many options available. After the Granada game, many people will be saying Asensio. People are still saying Asensio. Not much people are calling for Rodrigo, which is understandable. I don't think he will start. There's also Bale. I don't want to see Bale starting this game. So I have to go with Asensio via force. Even though he didn't have the best of games, he wasn't that bad. He was actually good. He did have a few moments. I would like to see Asensio or Valverde. That's my first two options. So you know what? I would prefer to see Valverde if I'm being honest. For this game, I definitely believe he can switch it up in the second half. However, I would like to see Valverde for this game. Or Asensio. I'm a bit 50-50 for this because I definitely believe Valverde against PSG would be important, but I don't think it's from the wing. I think he'd be better from midfield. Modric is playing and he's fully 100%. So you know what? As much as I'd like to see Valverde, as much I'd rather see him as a second half substitute. If I'm being honest, I don't think we'd get the best out of him if he's playing on the wing. So I'll just go for Asensio.
I've gone for the Valverde. Now I'm going to explain this once we've finished our lineups. So striker, have you gone for Benzema? Considering what you said earlier.
I did go for Benzema, and I will go for Benzema, at least for the first half or for the first 55 to 60 minutes, because I've seen the reports stating that the goal is for him to play 60 minutes. That's the best he can do, 60 minutes. However, I don't think he can make 60 minutes, if I'm being honest. I don't think it's good to have him play 60 minutes. I think he should just play the first half, similar to what he did against Atletico Madrid. He scored that goal. I definitely believe that in the first half we have been struggling. In most of our matches, I must say in the last 5 games, we haven't scored a first half goal in the last 5 matches. So we need to have a good first half or second half when substitutes are made have been way better. In the second half, the game will also open up a bit to make it easier for our attackers. So I would much rather see Benzema in the first half, seeing that we struggle and we need our best 11. However, I don't want to take any chances. If Benzema cannot play 90% the game, not 90%, if he can't play the game, I'll just go for Asensio through the middle, and then play Valverde on the wing. Isco has been playing decent as a 9. However, I don't want to see Isco, at least for this game, as a 9. If Benzema isn't available, I'd go for Asensio. However, if Benzema can't play and there isn't any chance that he gets injured or have a relapse, I would go for Asensio. I'll go for Benzema. But definitely, I believe that there are bigger games than this season, and on normal circumstances, and we've not been struggling as of late in the league. I would say no, yeah, we can play Benzema at least for the first 45 minutes. But I would just like to see something else for this game. I don't want to take any chances. I would like to see Benzema make an impact. I know I'm contradicting myself a bit, but it's a kind of a complicated one because we don't want to see Benzema get injured because we want to play well. But I will have to stick with him, because, like I said, we haven't been playing well in the first half. Maybe just a 45 minutes and that's it.
I have to disagree with you in the fact that this is one of the most important games of the season. I don't think it can get much more important than this. I think, in terms of PSG, we have to beat them this leg. I think we're coming back to the Bernabeu. If we don't win, there's no away goals in this game, so that's a plus for us, I reckon. But in the next few games, we haven't got anyone too difficult, I would say. If once the PSG game's done, we play Alaves and then Rayo Vallecano and then Real Sociedad, to be fair, after that, but that's only in what, basically a month's time. Then we go back to PSG, and I think in terms of if the injury is aggravated for Benzema, I really don't think him missing Alaves and Rayo Vallecano is that bad. Whereas if he missed this game and we'd say we lost 3-0, I think that ultimately the tie is done. The tie is done, and I think if he was to come back in a month's time to play PSG, so what? It doesn't matter anyway in the end, because he's not going to score 3 goals for us. He's not Cristiano. He's not going to score 3 goals in that game to save us. So I think ultimately it's better if we do risk him in this game, and I think that for 60 minutes, I think it's the perfect time. And then I think Jovic should come on for that game. So I did say I was going to explain my Valverde decision in a second, and I'm going to do it now. If Valverde is playing right wing, obviously, he's not a conventional winger, and when we're attacking, I would like to see him go forward with the ball, because, as I said in the Villarreal section, our most direct players are Vinicius and Valverde. If we have that on both sides, as I said, it won't be asymmetric with our attack. We will be going down both sides, and I think that will be very helpful into really providing PSG with a proper danger. And I think that is what we need to play against PSG in the end. So I think that will be important. In defence, I think Valverde is going to have to drop back, and it's going to be formed as a 2 up top with Vinicius and Benzema, with Vinicius coming back even as helping out. So I think that's going to really help us defensively with only one striker. I think that's going to really help us pack out the midfield and really put an emphasis on getting the ball off of Verratti, rather than less so on Wijnaldum and Paredes, who are excellent players but not as good technically as Verratti. And we need to stop the ball getting into Messi's feet, and that's what we've done well in previous years with Casemiro man marking him. Nacho could man mark Messi. That type of play could be really helpful. I think Vinicius is going to be really key defensively as well. I think especially if Hakimi is playing. If Hakimi is playing, I think it's going to be really vital when Vinicius drops back to help defensively. So I think in terms of that's going to be really helpful. And when we go forward, I would like to see Valverde driving with the ball. I think against Nuno Mendes, I think Nuno Mendes ain't exactly the best defensively. He's an excellent footballer, but I don't think he's the best defensively. And I think Valverde could definitely exploit that. I do think that Valverde against PSG is a match made in heaven. So I've explained my decision for Valverde. Back to Benzema. If Benzema isn't able to, I mean, it's a really tough decision dropping Benzema, isn't it? But it is pathetic how we play without him. Ultimately, how we play without Benzema. If we look at the last few games, 0-0 Villarreal, 1-0 against Granada, 1-0 loss against Athletic Club. We play so pathetically without Benzema. We can't attack. We can't. There's no build up. There's no runs made, and I think that's really what affects us. There's no runs made in behind, and I think we play so bad without Benzema in terms of build up and slow build up. There's nothing. There's no meat to those attacks. It's just slow build up. I think without Benzema, it's conceding that we're not gonna score many goals in this game. And I think ultimately I would take a 0-0 draw in this game to take back to the Bernabeu if we're not playing Benzema. I think we have to look to nick a result at the Parc des Princes. We are playing away to PSG firstly, so I think we have to try and nick a goal, nick an away goal, which isn't a thing anymore. Unfortunately, I did like that rule. I did like the away goals rule, but I think we have to try and get a goal and try and bring back any sort of a lead to the Bernabeu, because I think that will really help us in the second leg. So I'd like to hear your verdict on that.
I think they cancelled the away goals and
Yeah.
actually said
Yeah.
yes. I don't think I think that it will be good 1-1. I don't think it matters. I don't think it's important that we don't lose, even if it's just by one goal. I think it will be difficult for us if we lose. So because PSG can just sit back and depend on nice transition moments to win the game and to win about. But I definitely think that the important thing, like I said, if we have our best 11 available and they're fit, they should play. You had the Valverde case, and I think that's fair enough. And if Ancelotti goes for that, it would help us out a lot. And I think it would be a bit of a shock to PSG, who won't expect that. I think PSG knows what they're getting from us if they look at our latest fixtures, and I think Ancelotti needs to make a slight change, to counter it, because they know what they're getting from us, and that's never a good thing. So, like I said, Valverde would on that, like you said, Valverde on that wing could definitely help us out a lot. And however, Ancelotti is someone who never makes those changes, especially for those games. But I hope that he can in this one, because we all know how important it is, to have that element of surprise in those big matches, because those are the decisions, which helps you win titles, helps you get past tough opponents, and that's what Carlo Ancelotti is here for, because he did that, for the first time he came in the 13-14 season. He made those big changes, to the team in big matches, that sometimes it nearly costed us, sometimes it worked out well. And I hope that whatever he does on Tuesday, that he analyzes PSG, he analyzes our team, and makes a calculated decision, because like you said, I don't like how we play without Benzema. I don't like how the team plays. I don't think there's any tactical information given to the team. So that's the biggest concern for me. So that's why I would like to see our best 11 all day, and we'll have to support the coach and hope he picks the best team, because I don't want to see us struggling in the first half, because this isn't like Granada, where if you struggle, you have a chance to kill them off in the second half. If we struggle, PSG have star players who can definitely score 2 or 3 goals in the first half and make it a lot more difficult, So let's take our time, and I do hope that he makes the right decision, because if he doesn't, this tie can be over, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's very important that you said that we need to make sure we don't lose, because this more than ever is PSG's strength. If we have to go at PSG, that's just PSG are laughing at us, because ultimately we're gonna have to play for almost two defenders against Mbappe on the halfway line, and I think that's only favouring Mbappe in the end. I think Mbappe is getting past us really, really quickly, and I think it's done. If PSG even get a 1-0 lead, I think the tie is done, because I don't see us scoring goals without conceding goals at that point, and I think PSG will just easily counter-attack so well. They counter-attack brilliantly, and I think that is their strength. We saw how Man City, the team that scores 6, puts 5 or 6 past every team they go to each week in the Premier League, even they got undone by PSG on the counter-attack. And I think that's what's key in this game. We have to make sure we don't lose, because second leg, I think PSG will start to lose their heads, especially if we've got a 1-0 lead. That PSG team, they don't know how to handle a game, especially the likes of Verratti. I've talked about Verratti a lot. I really like Verratti. He's such a elegant footballer, but he's got a hot head. he can lose his head very, very quickly, and I think we have to start winding them up a lot. Casemiro is going to be very key into that, because PSG, more than a lot of teams, can lose their heads so easily, and I think we've got to start winding them up, and I think we've got to put pressure on PSG to start scoring goals. I think that's what we got to do. In the end, we've got to stay tight, stay to the defensive principles, and I think that's what's going to help us win this game. So, have you got anything else to say on the PSG game, or is that it?
No, I think we basically touched on everything. It's just I just know how important this game is for our season. I definitely think that this is a legit podcast, but we have to mention how important the Champions League is to PSG. They are not too happy with us at the moment in relation to the entire Mbappe situation. So they want to get a win over us. They really want to beat us. Not just for the Mbappe situation, but I think they know how important the Champions League is to them. They might never have a better opportunity than this season, especially if Mbappe leaves. Just at the end of the year, even though they will have Messi and Neymar, it's just that this team, they don't have Mbappe. Who can offer something different. I think this is their best chance of winning the Champions League this year if they get past us. I definitely believe they're going to give their best to win this, and we should be aware of that. They're going to be coming and giving their all to win this game, especially at home.
Yeah. So before we go, I would like to get a score prediction from you. So, what was your score prediction for this game?
You know what? I'm not saying I'm not too confident for this game. I am confident. After every Real Madrid game, I know that we can definitely find a way to win. However, it hurts me to say it, but I think that PSG might win 2-1, or if I'm being honest. I know that we're going to score a goal. I believe we're going to score a goal. However, I think that they might just score 2, if I'm being honest. It hurts me to say that Real Madrid can lose this game. However, if I'm being positive, I can say we can draw 1-1, or we can win 2-1. I would say 2-1 to either team. However, PSG is at home. They are a good team. I think PSG might win this one 2-1, if I'm being honest. However, I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm doubting my team. I do believe that we can win. However, I think it's 50-50. This game is 50-50, if I'm being honest. So any team can go 2-1, but I just go PSG 2-1.
Yeah. I would go for a 1-1 draw. I think there's not going to be much between the two teams in this game. I think that it will be a late PSG goal in the last 10 minutes, I would say, to stop that 1-0 Real Madrid win. I think that's what's going to happen in this game. If you guys want to see the rest of my UCL predictions, I'm not sure when it's going to come out. It's going to come out sometime today. I'm not sure whether it's going to come out before or after this podcast comes out. But if it has come out before, please do check it out. If it hasn't, then go on and wait, and just be on the lookout for that video, because I've put some time into that one. So that's it for today's Los Blancos podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.